Okay, good morning, everyone. Dan Bates, President and CEO, Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce. And we are always happy when you can join us for an episode of Coffee and Conversation. But today we're particularly excited because we have a great launch that occurred last Thursday. And Michael Dermer and Victoria Sherman are going to be talking about that as our presenters in just a little bit. The protocol here is obviously we are on Zoom. If you have a question, you can type it in the chat box, or I'm sure that our presenters won't mind if you interrupt them and ask a question. We are also on Facebook Live. So if you're on Facebook Live, you can type your question in, and I believe it's Tiffany. Then Tiffany will repeat that question to the presenter so you can get your questions answered. So we are thrilled to have you all today. This will later be archived on YouTube. So you can always go to our YouTube channel later and follow up or share with other people. And we may have some guests we don't recognize today because I also did post this out on LinkedIn. So there might be some phone numbers and stuff we don't recognize. But we are thrilled to have you all. I believe, Gino, you're going to be doing self-introductions. So you know who I am. We're going to find out who all of you are.
Outstanding. Thank you so much, Dan. I am going to go around my screen and I will introduce everyone, and you'll have an opportunity to say a couple words about who you are and who you represent, and then we'll get going into this outstanding meeting. So we will start with Dan. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning. My name is Dan Swarmstead. I'm an account executive with Hub Haran, dealing in employee benefits, property and casualty insurance, and executive benefits. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Jennifer Pierce, good morning. Okay, so I am going to go over
Jennifer looks frozen. Yeah.
Yes, I think she is meditating right now.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Pierce. I'm an outreach project manager. Let me
Good morning, Jennifer.
try again. Does that work?
Yep.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Pierce. I'm with Modern Psych and Wellness, and I am an outreach project manager looking to get our information in front of providers and companies and individuals as a resource for behavioral health.
Outstanding, outstanding. Welcome, Jennifer. Good morning, Will.
Good morning. My name is Will DeClerc with Riverview Accounting and Advisory, specialize in technical accounting and business consulting, but as of the end of this month, going to have a individual and business tax return practice added in. So very excited about that.
Outstanding, outstanding. The next person, I'll go to my good friend, Christopher Cannell. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. Chris Cannell. I am the coordinator of community outreach for the Hamilton City Schools. I help connect students, freshmen through seniors, with jobs in the local community.
Outstanding. Welcome, welcome. And I think the number that is just showing up on our screen is our good friend, Ben Corners. Good morning, Ben. Okay, all right, possibly that wasn't him. I am going to now do a quick introduction of our staff, and then we'll get right into the program. So the first person I see on my screen is Laura. Good morning, Laura.
Hello, everyone. I'm Laura Merrill with the Greater Hamilton Chamber. Glad to have you all with us today.
Outstanding. Tiffany, good morning.
Good morning. I'm Tiffany Grubb, Director of Marketing at the Greater Hamilton Chamber.
Outstanding. Good morning, Sydney.
Hi, my name is Sydney Feenstra, and I am an intern at the Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce.
And our fearless leader, good morning, Dan.
Good morning. Do we want to find out who the call-in is?
I think Gino's right. Ben said he's on the phone.
Oh, okay.
Right. And I think it was a different number, so he might be in a place where he can't answer. So, so the last two I have are the ones that are going to be actually doing the presentation this morning. So I'll start off with you. Good morning, Victoria.
Good morning, everybody. Victoria Sherman, Head of Global Operations for the Lonely Entrepreneur. Great to meet everybody.
Outstanding. And last but definitely not least, good morning, Michael.
Good morning. Good morning. Michael Dermer. I'm founder and CEO of the Lonely Entrepreneur. Thank you.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much for everybody for joining. We are always excited to do these, and I'm actually looking forward to the presentation today. So, Michael, you are on.
Terrific. Well, first of all, on behalf of myself and the Lonely Entrepreneur and Dan and your organization, it's a privilege to be here today. We had the opportunity to spend some time in Hamilton a little bit a while ago, and look forward to contributing to your efforts to try to grow the community. I'll give you a little bit of background about the Lonely Entrepreneur. So I started my career as a mergers and acquisitions lawyer in New York City. I left that, worked for a big law firm, left that after 3 years and started what got to be known as the first company in the US to reward people for being healthy. I heard a couple of people that play in the benefits space. Built that company up over the course of about a decade, venture capital backed, and sold it in 2014. And after I sold that company, I was in New York, where I've spent most of my adult life. I wanted to give back to entrepreneurs. And I was just really struck by the fact that while entrepreneurship was so important to our society, we never gave people a map, right? We said, just go figure it out on your own. And I did not have a desire to, write a book and stand in front of 20 people and say, this is how you start a business. To me, these were the conversations that were happening across the dinner tables of America. And people are putting their heart and their soul and their money into these ventures, and we never gave them the tools to do it. And I was a technology guy. And I was like, why isn't there a platform? Like, why isn't there a one-stop shop that an entrepreneur, kind of regardless of the stage of their journey, could go to and would have everything in there to have a better chance of success? And it just didn't exist. So we built it. So we formed the Lonely Entrepreneur, 501c3. And we said to ourselves, if we were going to build a platform, what would it need to have? And we concluded that it was three things. One was knowledge, right? So what's an income statement? What I do when I'm freaking out? So we built what is now 1,000 learning modules that run the gamut across the business and personal issues that entrepreneurs face. Secondly is tools, right? I need business plan templates and sample legal agreements and how to pick an accounting package. And finally, and equally importantly, is what we call ongoing support, because, it's all fine and good to put all this knowledge tools in one place, and that's helpful. But if we're not guiding people day to day, the question is, would we really be doing our jobs? So it's like, how do you do that at scale? So we created two things: online group coaching, where people can sign up for an unlimited number of online group coaching sessions on whatever topics they're relevant to them. And then what we call our community, which is a place where people go and get their questions answered real time by members of our team. And so suffice it to say, all of that together is called the learning community. And hopefully the idea is to be able to take an individual, regardless of where they are in their journey. We like to say, twinkle in their eye up to Series A, and have an opportunity to have a platform to give them a better chance of success. After we've been around for a little bit, we also said to ourselves, how do we help women and people of color? And so we launched initiatives, our Black and Hispanic initiatives, with the goal of empowering 100,000 Black men and women across the United States with our platform for free. And the way we do that is we have the privilege of working with corporations, philanthropies, economic development organizations, and for a little bit of funding, we're able to provide the platform to great organizations like the Chamber, to provide it to communities like Hamilton. So that's what you're doing. And Dan, I would also ask if you wouldn't mind any comments that you want to make about how we got to know each other and why we're here.
Okay. I had myself on mute because I don't want the phone to ring or something. We're really excited to be launching this program in our area. This is a partnership with the Community Foundation. There is normally a cost for this platform. The Community Foundation has covered that cost so that we can offer this, free of charge to the first 50 businesses or entrepreneurs who sign up. So, in the process, I know John Gaduli had reached out to me and said, we have this applicant. I want you to look at the platform and see what you think. So I looked at it and went through it, very excited, got to meet with Michael a couple times. I know the one day when he was up here actually to do his pitch, and based upon, it was vote of confidence in us, the Community Foundation's board agreed to fund this program that we could help administer. So everything will be going through us, but we are really excited to, be able to put this platform out to, I think our focus is for any business, but our real focus is for minority businesses. And we are also kicking this off next week, right, Laura? With the Hispanic business community. So we'll actually be having people come into our office to kind of do a little demo how the platform works. And the fact that it also can be translated into different languages is a huge plus as well. So we're excited to be part of this.
Terrific. Thank you, Dan, and thank you for the partnership. When you really think about it, the whole idea is, if in any community in the country, why isn't there a one-stop shop that somebody can go to learn? Like, there's so many people here on the call today that started their own businesses, right? And if you were dropped in the middle of Hamilton from somewhere else and you said, go, right? Hopefully what we're trying to do is give people a platform that's gives them one place to go, a lot of what they have, and then obviously get the great benefit of working with the chamber and other resources that are available in the community itself. As Dan mentioned, we can do this at no cost to the entrepreneurs because of the generosity of the foundation and corporations and economic development organizations who are excited to have an impact. First of all, let me
Michael, if I could just,
if there's any questions there as well.
sorry,
Sure.
Michael, if I could just interrupt for one more thing. We also work very closely with the Small Business Development Center. So I just kind of wanted to throw that in. This is not a replacement for the Small Business Development Centers. We see it as a partnership. So a lot of times people who go to the Small Business Development Center don't even know the language. So when they're talking about LLCs and all, they have no idea what they're talking about. So we also think that this will better so that when they do have a face-to-face with a professional counselor, they're more prepared for that initial meeting. Sorry, Michael.
No, absolutely. Anybody have any questions? I'm going to show you the platform in the middle, but happy to take any questions anybody has.
Yeah, Michael, I have a question. As someone who started their own business before I came into the benefits world, and I was a restaurateur, is the Lonely Entrepreneur focused on kind of, tech companies, or is it across the board help for all kinds of businesses?
Yeah, great question, and nice to meet you, Dan. We wanted to design it really broad, and as you know, from being a business owner, there's so many issues that are common across early stage businesses that people have to figure out, and this is really meant to be their sidekick at every step of their journey, right? So it's not geared towards any particular type of business. Now, what I would say is, I mentioned these 1,000 learning modules. We continue to add more and more and more. And so now there are industry specific resources for nonprofits. Like there's I mentioned our Black and Hispanic initiative, soon to be an LGBTQ plus initiative. So we've added additional content on top of it, Dan. But as you know, from having been a business owner yourself, and it sounds like in your benefits practice, you're dealing with business owners. In the year 2023, there's just a lot you need to know. And the ability to get that information and get real guidance, on a real-time basis is just hopefully what we're trying to solve.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Anybody else? Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you the platform. So the individual, sorry about that. The individual that are going to receive this and the launch we're talking about, the access to this is pretty simple. You see on your screen what we call a landing page. This is where the individuals are directed to, and they simply come here, learn a little about what it is, fill out some fields, and they're in. And then once they're in our platform, which I mentioned before is called the learning community, what we think of a one-stop shop of knowledge, tools, and support. And I'll start with really the knowledge areas. This is where we've got these 1,000 learning modules. And I mentioned this is really meant to be their sidekick at every step of their journey. So you have people that are just getting started, just trying to learn the language, basics of, different parts of a business: revenue, differentiation, finance, marketing. We address all kinds of topics, including what we call managing yourself, which is all the struggles of being a small business owner. And pretty much all the different parts of the business. And I mentioned before, we continue to add more and more. We add tons of stuff around supplier diversity and industry specific issues in our Black initiative. And so this is really, all of this is at their disposal, and it really is meant to be their sidekick. So let's say there's somebody that's just getting started. You see all of these, what we call bite-sized learning modules, right? So do I have a good idea? How do I protect it? How do I write a business plan? And, I'll just open up one of them. They're all designed the same. They're a page to 2 pages of kind of bulleted text, along with something interactive, either a video or audio of anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes. Right? So if you're somebody that's trying to start a business, all the typical issues you'd mentioned, what's the difference between my legal name and business name? How do I separate my business and personal activity? And I happen to go into the area around just getting started, but let's say I went to, raising money, right? Same thing, right? What are the different types of investments and investors? What's valuation? How much should I raise and when? Right. And again, a page to 2 pages of bulleted text, along with something interactive, either video or audio, anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes. Okay. One thing I should mention, Dan mentioned, translates into any language. So they can basically pick whatever language they're interested in. And the whole platform translates in real time on the fly. Okay, obviously super important for diverse populations like we're dealing with and we're doing all over the country. So that's kind of the knowledge, right? And again, meant to be their sidekick at every step of their journey. Secondly is I mentioned tools, right? So I won't go through too many of these, but tons and tons of templates you may need, sample legal agreements, and even reviews of the tools they need, right? So think about it. Everybody's trying to figure out, how do I pick the right email and accounting and project management and payroll solutions? We bring in independent third-party reviews, and hopefully this gives them one place to go to try to evaluate what they're doing. But as I mentioned, we didn't think we'd be doing our job if we were just providing the knowledge and the tools if we weren't guiding them. And we guide them the 2 ways that we. One, people come here, ask whatever question they have, and we have people on our team called entrepreneur success managers that all they do all day long is answer these questions. Of course, if they're answering questions, they might direct them back to learning modules, but they also direct them to the other way that we help, which is our group coaching calls. So these are going on all the time on, as you can see, pretty much all kinds of different topics. They can sign up for an unlimited number of these. And so hopefully what we're doing is taking them from wherever they are, whether it's just getting started or they're further along, and hopefully give them a better chance of success. Finally, we're always asking ourselves, what should be in a one-stop shop, right? And so we've recently added financing opportunities, right? So people have to go all over the place and figure out where to digest all the financing opportunities. We try to bring them in here and organize them by all kinds of different slices, whether it's ethnicity or types of financing. And but really what we're trying to do is kind of take them where they are, try to take their skills from where they are and give them a hands-on approach to improving their chances of being a viable and growing business.
Michael, I do have a quick question. So I jumped on here and I joined a couple weeks ago after you guys gave us a presentation, and I noticed on the one you went to, it had the logo from the Greater Hamilton Foundation and also the Greater Hamilton Chamber.
Yep.
Because I know some things are going to be consistent for an entrepreneur, whether or not they're in New York City, Omaha, Nebraska, or Hamilton, Ohio. When I joined before we kind of kicked it off, am I going to be associated with the Hamilton group, or is everybody just one group?
So we have an area. So there's 2 values, I think, Gino. One is you're part of this broader community, right? So if you're interested in fashion and you're in Hamilton and you end up being connected with somebody in fashion in New York, we love that. Like, we love the community that comes from that. But there also is, and I'll show you this now, there's also a special area just for the Hamilton group. So for example, here, I'll take you down into this area called groups. So all of our different partners have different sections where we will, in addition to them being a part of a group as a whole, they're also part of a specific group just for them. So that's where, if we or the chamber together want to go back to them with very specific things just to Hamilton, in addition to being part of the community, they're also part of this subgroup that we can communicate that way.
Right. And the reason I ask that, sometimes I know people are, when they see somebody they're familiar with, I think, if there's a Hamilton business that joins this and they see another Hamilton business, they might be more inclined to say, hey, let me reach out to them and see maybe what challenges they have. So I didn't know if it was automatic or if you need to be actually join the Hamilton group once you get into the program.
It's automatic. Once you go into that landing page that I mentioned, which you went in before that existed, right? So once you go in there, you're automatically in there. And this is one of the roles that our entrepreneur success managers are playing, right? When somebody's talking to them, and asking them a question, they might refer them and say, oh, by the way, there's one of your colleagues that lives a mile from you that's doing the same thing. But they also might say, hey, there's somebody in Iowa that has a similar problem. They have a similar type of business. Let me connect the two of you. So even though it's an online platform, it's very hands-on. Our entrepreneur success managers are always looking at data about how much people are using it. We're always sending out emails and text messages to remind them to use it. And we pretty much are monitoring, right, what kind of progress they're making in businesses as well.
I think the other thing too, Gino, and you haven't been involved in all these conversations, even though you're right here in the office. There's going to be direct communication between, me here at the chamber and the people who are on the platform through the business advisors and that type of thing. Just so we know locally, is there anybody that we need to touch base with and kind of check in and say, kind of, how's it going type of thing.
Any other questions?
This isn't a question, but looking at the platform everybody's on, I hope that you can see the potential and feel the enthusiasm and excitement that we have to be part of this program. I think that this is a game changer.
Yeah, and Dan, just a little comment of that. I've shared this with you. I wasn't planning to do this. I was just like, why doesn't this exist? Why shouldn't a small business owner in any place in the United States, and really not the world, who wants to start a business, like, think about a lot of the services that a lot of the folks here provide, whether it's tax or accounting. I mean, you have to stuff out on your own, and in the year 2023, that's really hard to do. And I know for us, it's actually pretty easy to help, right? Because there's so many challenges, and you can definitely help people improve their businesses and hopefully have a better chance of success.
I think the other thing with a platform like this is, what you don't know until you're zinged, like, "Ooh, I didn't know we had to do that." And you don't always know.
Yeah.
And I think what the platform does is to straightforward, simple language that the average small business or entrepreneur would be asking. A lot of this information through the state website and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't know what you're looking for, you don't know how to find it. So.
Yeah, I'd love to say we're splitting the atom, but I think that, organizing, making things simple and easily digestible, and then having human beings to help you is hopefully a combination that, has proven to work. Sammy, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question. So when you're working with this program, how early in the stage would someone have to be, in particular with the relationship to using the first, I guess it might be for you and Dan, the first 50 applicants? Because people that sometimes say, yeah, I want to be a business owner, and hasn't, like you said, I see you starting with like they haven't written maybe a business plan or just got some kind of concept, but really don't even know how to even articulate that on paper. Are those kind of individuals you're looking for, or is it already kind of like phase, or should they already be started? I was kind of quick. That was my question.
Yeah, I'll go first, and Dan, you can go. So I think, Dan, our ultimate vision, right, is that anybody in Hamilton County eventually, right, that wants to start a business or is growing a business would have access to something like this. I think, Dan, you'll determine, right, and your organization will determine who gets it first, right, and who's entitled to it. Those people, it's designed for people, literally twinkle in their eye, right? People who have an idea or leaving corporate or haven't done it before, or, somebody has a 15-year-old son that's thinking of doing something. I mean, it's meant to be pretty broad. I think in terms of, we only have a certain number of licenses, so I think Dan and the chamber will determine who gets that. But from a content perspective, we have programs that are for high school kids. We have so it really, it doesn't necessarily mean, Dan, you'll set the criteria, but as far as the content and the help, and we have some programs that are literally people that it's just an idea in their head all the way up to, obviously pretty farther along.
And, to tie in with that, and Sammy, we've worked together for a while. There are a lot of people who say they want to start a business, so we always kind of vet them, because we also know that some of those people, after they kind of start down that path, realize this isn't for me. It's hard work, it's risky, it's, requires a lot of dedication, and it impacts people's personal lives, which they don't always anticipate. So, some of the craziest ideas end up being the best businesses, and some of the best ideas, they never get off the starting point. So that's the reasons we want to be involved from the very beginning to kind of vet this a little bit, because Michael's saying it's really open to anyone, but I also don't want to waste our licenses. So I want 50 people who really are serious about this to utilize the platform. Now we're starting with 50. I mean, our goal is that hopefully the 50 fill up with good, dedicated entrepreneurs and small businesses that are already, in place. And then we can add another 50, but we'll have to go back and secure more funding to do that. So this is a launch and a test all at the same time. So there will be some vetting. I don't think anybody's discounted from, potentially having access to this platform. But again, I don't want 20 people who are not really serious and just playing around and, a month later say, I don't want to do this. We're not going to waste our licenses on people who have decided they don't want to move forward.
Thank you for that explanation. Because the only reason I'm asking, just in case someone, I run across somebody every now and then, you have conversations that lead to stuff like this, that, find out somebody's passion, right, and want to make sure I'm connecting the right people.
And the other thing too, it's a lesson to learn that maybe owning a business isn't for you, because a lot of people don't realize what it really takes. And, a lot of times I'll sit down with somebody who has a great idea and say, and I say, why do you want to have your own business? I want to be my own boss, and that always puts major alert, because you're never your own boss. If you have your own business, your customers are your boss. So, you never get to have total control of what you want to do, but you do have control of your destiny with your own business. So, it's case by case.
Yeah, and I think, Dan, that we always say, for every 10 businesses these days, one idea is so good it will always work. One idea is so bad it'll never work, and the other, it's how you do it, right? And to your point, that people just need guidance along the way. And I think our vision is also, as we get this first 50 off the ground, get in the hands of lots and lots of people. We even have, there will be businesses, Will, I think about your business, right, who is helping small business owners all the time, right? And I'm sure, even though they should be coming to you just for accounting and tax, right, and the stuff that you're doing, and I know you do some business consulting, it's, there's lots of people out there that need help. So as we prove success in the core group, like Dan said, there will be other funders, in the Hamilton community that will come to the table that will say, hey, let's get it in the hands of a whole bunch of people that want to be able to have a better chance of success. Any other questions?
Everyone's so dazzled they can't speak. Just so everyone knows, we are, we are doing an official launch. It started last Thursday. We are launching this out through a lot of vehicles, as well as the Lonely Entrepreneur is doing that as well. Michael's going to be presenting to City Council next month. I think it's next month. And so we have a date for that. So we really want to get the word out on a very broad perspective. And it's, we're focusing on Hamilton. However, we have a lot of contacts and members that are not necessarily in Hamilton. So you might be just outside Hamilton and still be working with us and have access to the platform. From the Community Foundation's perspective, they're always focused on Hamilton because they are the Hamilton Community Foundation. However, with recent expansions, they are also, the Fairfield Community Foundation, as well as connected to Ross. So that opens that broader geographic area for us as well.
I know that, Dan, you haven't experienced this yet, and I know we've shared a little bit with us. The receptivity of the individuals that get access to something like this can be really stark and pretty quickly, because remember, you guys all know this, you're small business owners, people out there trying to figure this out on their own, right? And when they get to come to the table and it's free for them because thanks to the generosity of the foundation and to the chamber, right? They find, they have a place to go that they can trust, because remember, nobody's selling them anything, right? They get this for free. And now that they have one place to go that get this guidance. So you'll see, everyone here will probably see pretty early some videos and thank yous. Well, the people just go on their own and say thank you so much to the chamber and things like that, because it's, like Dan, you mentioned, it's hard in this day and age. And so there's just hopefully providing a lot of value for individuals during their journey. Any other questions?
They're kind of quiet today, aren't they, Michael?
Well, I think the questions are somewhat limited because the platform's pretty easy to understand, and with pretty, short demonstration, you kind of get it, and which I think is the beauty of the platform.
Yeah, I think, Dan, there's so much information out there that our whole thing is regardless, we talk about 1,000 learning modules and we keep adding. Our whole thing is like simple, like just I'm on there, I have a problem, I'm trying to figure out how it is, I can get to it pretty quickly and in a pretty intuitive way. We tend to think that we can throw all this stuff on entrepreneurs and they're supposed to try to figure all that stuff out when it's one of 100 issues. So that is our edict when it comes to our user experiences. How do we make it really simple? And frankly, if you don't know what you're doing, you just ask somebody, right? And we have people in there real time that are, answering those questions and hopefully guiding them accordingly.
And we also see that this can help our existing businesses because, for instance, somebody, they'll learn enough on the platform about that sales tax and state tax is a real issue, but that varies by state. So that's when they are going to need to reach out to a Will or somebody to say, okay, help me.
Yeah.
This, I know I need to do this. I don't know what I need to do with this in Ohio and Hamilton. So we see a lot of that too in the future that, will come to pass. Same thing with, business like yours, Dan, they're going to realize the value of, not only some of the benefits that you guys offer, but some of the things they have to do legally, and they're going to need to turn to somebody and say, okay, now I know I need to do this. Who do I turn to? So we're hoping here at the chamber, we can say, okay, here's the 3 people that can help you decipher this.
Yeah, no, I mean, compliance is a major issue in our field, and always happy to help on that. But Dan, to kind of bounce off that question and kind of the state specific aspects, Michael, do you guys go as granular as some specific state type options just because, with living in the tri-state area, we're working in Northern Kentucky, Southeastern Indiana, and, Southwestern Ohio. Every state has their different rules, as we all know. Does it get that granular, or if not, is that something you might be working towards in the future?
When we have bigger funding available from a strategic partner, we actually build into that. And I think I've shared with you, Dan, local resources, right? So when we do a little bit of bigger funding, we do integrate that stuff in. I think we're just getting off the ground here a little bit as a foundation to try to do it. I think, we know what we know and we know what we don't know.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes we have relationships where, especially for our larger corporate partners, they will actually build some of that content for us. We've added a whole bunch of learning modules about logistics from our UPS is a big customer of ours. So right now it doesn't, but like you said, Dan, steering them back to you guys, for expertise, I think we're happy to do.
And we're open to suggestions. I mean, I know it's not my platform, but we're, partnering with it. There may be, Dan, suggestions you have in the future there where you could become a local resource to the platform for our local, entrepreneurs who are utilizing the platform.
So Dan, if a person watching this has a question, who would they ask that to?
Well, I guess they should reach out to me. So, I'm easy to find. Dan Bates, President and CEO of Greater Hamilton Chamber of Commerce. My email is dan@hamilton-ohio.com. And my direct line is 513-454-5066. If I don't answer that line, it automatically goes to my cell phone. So if you're trying to reach me, there's no excuse to not find me.
Very good.
You can also text me at my cell phone, which is 267-249-9649.
Perfect. So any other questions for Michael?
It's not a question. It's kind of a statement for the people on the call now, and more importantly, for the people that may review this later. You might not be a person that needs this type of service or will utilize this type of service, but if you know of some people, please let us know. I'm really looking at you, Sammy, because I know you represent people like this, and you know people that might be that might need something like this. So if you know of some people, please maybe let them know, or as Dan said, you can reach out to us here at the chamber, because like Dan said, I think this is the game changer. So we want to make sure that we get it out to some really deserving people in the greater Hamilton area. So I just wanted to kind of throw that plug in there.
There's also, looking at the modules, this is great information for, existing businesses. There are people who, have been in business for a year and now they know what they don't know. So it's like, whoa, what do I do now? So, it's not just for somebody that's an entrepreneur with just an idea, which is perfect for them. But I think it's also great for somebody who has been in business for a year or two and they don't know most of what's on this platform.
Right. Definitely, as businesses grow, as you're a sole proprietor and maybe you're expanding, things change a lot. Now you're hiring employees. What does this mean to my business? Maybe I'm selling more, maybe I'm online sales. I don't know. There's a variety of things. And yeah, businesses don't know what they don't know sometimes. So this is a perfect platform to learn.
I think when you put everything together, I'll just do a little commercial for, access through us. We are extremely well connected, not just in this area, but in the region. So, this platform is what I love about this is something people can do on their own time. It doesn't have to be between, 8 and 4, 9 and 5, whatever. So they can get on this platform at 2 o'clock in the morning and learn something, or find out where they need to go next. We're always here as a great resource to direct them to, other people they might get more information or actually need handholding. But when you combine this to other resources that we have, like Dale Gibbons, who, does a lot of programming for us. He's more once you're established and, how do you really drive those sales? So, we have many resources, which is why we kind of want to be the connector to say, okay, now you're ready for this type of thing. So, and all working with, the Butler County and Hamilton County SBDs, you can sit down face to face with a person, but now they can go in equipped and know what questions to ask. And when it comes time to writing that business plan, they have the basics from this platform, and now they can go in and maybe have someone, take a look at it and say, yeah, this looks good, or, maybe you need to tweak this or whatever. It also really gets people much more ready to sell their idea to, potential financial institutions and partners and things like that. So, so many people get shot out of the water with a great idea, but they're just not ready. And they sit down with a funder, and, in the funder's eyes, they're ill prepared, because they haven't been able to take that great idea and passion they have in their head and put it on a piece of paper that really puts it into a viable business plan. So we're really excited about this.
Yeah, I think that, in every area, I showed you some, sales, marketing, finance, there's everything from the basics to much further along. Like, I didn't go into it, but in the raising money stuff, there's down into Series A, debt, there's all kinds of different structures, how to create a financing plan, how to really good investment process. So we really try to make it broad in all the areas, from people that just are, learning the basics all the way to more sophisticated things. It's interesting, Dan, you may not know this. So when people are further along and they want one-on-one consulting, we have a practice, we call it sidekick, right? Because exactly what we're talking about here, which is like, there's so many different things that happen at every step of your journey. Right. And hopefully that, like, nobody looks the same. One 5-person business looks different than another 5-person business. So hopefully we're really giving them a foundational resources to, improve their chances of success. But to your point, a lot of our folks that are in there are, 25-person businesses, right? It's not just early people, because we all know, we all have folks that we work with that are 25-person businesses, and just some success, obviously, which is great, but also just different challenges along the way.
I just had an idea, Michael, which I hadn't thought of before. Shame on me. But this is a perfect tool for us to send out to our financial partners, so that they can refer their customers to this when they come in and say, I'd like to start a business.
Yep.
I think it'd be great if the bank said, well, here's where you need to go first.
Yep.
Get your affairs in order, and then come back to us, and we'll talk about lending you money. So.
Yeah, and Dan, I think that goes with the vision that, eventually those financial partners would be ones that would provide funding, right? So we can provide it to even more and more and more people. Today, if it goes beyond the 50, those individuals, buy it and pay for it, but that's not really what we want. We want to be able, everybody to have it for free. And so the little bit of funding we get from some of these organizations can continue to, build up the number of people that have access to it.
That's definitely something we can look forward to in the future, Michael. Very exciting. Anybody have any final questions? No? All right. If you do, please just go ahead and contact Dan. We're super excited to be partnering with the Lonely Entrepreneur. This is just definitely something that is going to be amazing for a lot of small businesses to ask questions and learn from, because being an entrepreneur can be a little lonely sometimes, potentially, and challenging. So we're hoping to take some of that out. We do have a meeting set up next week. So that's Tuesday, August 15th, 4 to 5 p.m. at the Chamber office. If anyone would be interested in having some in-person time with us to discuss the Lonely Entrepreneur, we are focusing this on Hispanic and minority business for that day. So if you have anyone in that realm, or even not, we would be glad to have you attend. Our next coffee and conversation is Tuesday, the 22nd. Dan, do you have some details on what the topic is going to be that day?
At the moment, no. Can you remind me who our guest is?
Community First with their foundations.
Yes, okay. Thanks for the reminder. Too much today. We are going to be talking about mental health in the workplace, and kind of like recognizing what your mental health state is. So we are going to be starting with them. I know we're going to be doing some exciting things with modern psychology as we move forward as well. So the Chamber is getting into the whole mental health of business, and the journey that we have all taken over the past few years, and the I think unrecognized toll that it has taken on everyone. So we are a series of information and self-discovery, and to really give people tools to address and recognize their health challenges. Not that we're, I'm crazy here, but I know that I think we're in denial. I know I am, I'm like, I'm fine, everything's fine, nothing impacted me. But we are all under much more stress than we've ever been before. And we feel as a chamber that we need to recognize that and work with the professionals on how it impacts us, how it impacts our businesses, our employees, and actually how it impacts our bottom line.
And that's going to turn into a series of workshops, correct?
Yes.
So the 22nd is another coffee and conversation?
Correct. August 22nd, 9 a.m.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. All right, so we will see you all in a couple weeks. If you have any questions, you can always visit our hamilton-ohio.com website, find our scrolling calendar with information. And if anytime you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and we will see you all in a couple weeks.
And Victoria, could you stay on the line for a minute?
All right. Thank you all. We'll see you all later.
Absolutely. Thank you.